You're probably here because you're a parent and you've been experiencing some challenges lately with your kids' behavior. Hi, I'm Michael Lefevre. I'm a dad, a play therapist, and a parent coach. And I'm here today because I am passionate about helping parents understand their kids on a deep, fundamental level. After working with hundreds of families in the playroom and parent coaching, I have been inspired to share the tools and the knowledge that I have gained with a wider audience. So welcome, and I hope you continue to join me over the next couple of days as I share with you 3 free training videos on how to deeply connect and really understand your kids. Before we get into the nitty-gritty about acting out, what is it and how to work with it, I want to share with you a story. I have a 4-year-old son and a 7-month-old daughter, and the other day I was making breakfast and my son wanted some eggs, so I cracked him some eggs, and I was cracking them in the bowl, ready to put them in the pan, and suddenly my son goes, "Daddy, I wanted to crack the eggs." I said, "Oh, so sorry, Bugs, I already cracked them. Do you want to crack them next time?" And you could tell that this was a big deal. He got that look on his face like, "No, you don't understand. I wanted to crack those eggs." And he literally said those words. "Daddy, I want to crack them." He walked over to the refrigerator, grabbed the eggs, and wanted to crack some new ones. And I said, "Look, I hear you. You wanted to crack those eggs, but I already cracked them." Now, I'm sure you understand where this might be headed, and I'm going to talk about this story in a little bit because it didn't go the way that some of us had feared, although I've been in that situation before where it led to the full-blown meltdown, sitting on the floor, pounding the ground, tears streaming down the eyes, hitting me, hitting his sister, hitting his mom. I've been there. And that's what I specifically want to talk about today, is how do you short-circuit that so that we don't never get to that situation, and so that you can actually create out of a situation like this where you can tell that it's going to be there's going to be big emotion on the scene. You can help with this, and what I want to share with you today is the number 1 skill that I share with every single parent who comes through my office. This is a skill that I teach everyone because, in my opinion, it's so fundamental to connecting deeply with your kids and helping them feel very, very understood. So before we get to there, I want to talk a little bit about what acting out is, and specifically what's happening in your child's brain when they start to act out. So you may have heard that we really don't have one brain, we have 3 brains. Right at the back of our skull is what we would call the reptilian brain. It's the least evolved of the 3 brains, and it really controls everything that's automatic in our body. So blood circulation, respiration, all the sleep, all the things that we really don't have to think about on a daily basis. Then, right in the middle of our brain, kind of in between our ears, we have the limbic system, or what I'll call the mammal brain, or the emotional brain. And this is responsible for, as you might have guessed, our regulating our emotions. Specifically, there's a very important part that is called the amygdala. And what the amygdala is doing is it's always on the lookout for a threat. And if it perceives that there's some threat, either something in your internal body is telling you there's a threat, or something in the external environment is telling you that there's a threat, it sends your body into fight or flight mode. And this is the mode, I'm sure you guys have heard about this, where your body is ready to react to the danger. We're going to get back to this in a moment, but that's the second brain, the limbic system, or the emotional brain. The last brain is the most evolved in the chain, and it's our frontal cortex, or our human brain, or adult brain, thinking brain. There's lots of good terms for it. And this is where all the things that we want for our kids comes from. Executive functioning, which means the ability to think through problems and make a good decision. Empathy, so the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and imagine what they're feeling. Good decision making, being able to calm yourself down. All of these things come from the frontal cortex. Now, this is great, right? This is where we want our kids to be. One of the things that's a little unfortunate is that this part of our brain isn't fully developed until around age 25. And so that's a big reason why our kids get into these acting out behaviors, because the part of their brain that can regulate that can say, wait a second, maybe I'll just do the eggs next time, that part is not fully developed yet. And so you're going to get some pushback simply because all the equipment's not fully developed yet. So those are the three brains. Now, let's go back to my son and the eggs and what is happening when he starts to get elevated when I tell him that he can't crack the eggs. So he's thinking and he's watching me and suddenly he goes, oh, I want to do the eggs. And then I tell him no. Now, this to the amygdala is a threat because he's not getting what he wants. And to a kid, that feels really threatening because they want to get get their needs met. And so the amygdala is now starting to get a little active and it's saying, oh, you gotta pay attention here because something threatening is happening. I might not get to crack the eggs, and cracking the eggs to me right now is the most important thing in my life. I'm sure you parents know what I'm talking about when you have a kid who's so focused and obsessed on the thing that is so important right there. And this works with older kids too, although they do have a more developed frontal brain, and so we'll talk about that in a second about how to work with that and how the tool that I'm going to introduce you works with older kids as well. All right, so the amygdala is starting to fire. Now, I am starting to talk rationally to my son, right? Well, I already cracked the eggs. You can crack them next time. You know, it's not that big of a deal. Whatever it is that I'm going to say that's trying to speak to his frontal brain, his logical brain, is only making it worse. And the parents of young ones, you know, and older ones as well, you understand what I'm saying, right? When you start to speak logically to them, it actually enrages them more. And this is the reason why. When the amygdala starts to fire, it sends all of its resources to the extremities, right? So that's why when we're in fight or flight, we're ready to fight and hit or run away, and it short circuits the frontal brain. Now, when you're in the place where my son was, it wasn't quite there yet, but it's starting to, literally, the impulses in the brain go, they circumvent the front brain, they go right from the amygdala down into your body to tell them what to do, okay? So, my son's amygdala is starting to fire. He's starting to not make very good decisions because he's in his emotional brain. Now, the emotional brain is very good at some things and not so good at others. It's very good at picking up on body language and the non-verbal signals that I am sending out. It's not very good at the words and the logical thinking that a lot of us as parents offer when our kids are in that place. So, that's what's happening in your child's brain. Now, what happens when you get acting out behavior, when you start to hit, or when you start to throw things, or any of the number of things that I'm sure you guys all have a laundry list of, is the amygdala takes over, right? And instead of helping the child find a way to calm themselves down and bring themselves back into the front brain, the amygdala freaks out and they start they're literally not in their right mind, right? That's kind of how that phrase is, that's how it's a very appropriate phrase in this situation. So, we've come to that point you've probably all been waiting for. What do I do about it? I get it, I understand. My child's brain is not fully developed and the amygdala is telling them that there's a threat, and so they're freaking out and they're doing a bunch of things they don't really want to be doing. So, here's what you do. The goal is to help them calm down the amygdala and bring the frontal brain back online so that they can start to make a decision again, or they can start to negotiate or hear your words, right? And the way that I do this, the number one skill that I share with parents is the very first thing you do when you start to notice that your child is acting out or even approaching that, is you listen reflectively. And this is what I mean. You mirror back to them exactly what they're saying and exactly what they're feeling, to the best of your ability, right? You may not know exactly what they're feeling, but to the best of your ability. So with my son, it looks something like this. Oh, you wanted to crack those eggs. You love cracking those eggs. Last time you cracked those eggs and you cracked them so well and you had so much fun cracking them. And this time when you started making eggs, you really wanted to do it. And then I told you no, and that made you really angry because you wanted to crack them, and it was really important that you crack them. Now, I'm not doing anything to coddle or anything that says that I have to give in to my son or anything like that. All I'm doing is giving them the very clear message, I understand you, and not only do I understand you with my words, but I understand you with my emotion, with my body language. Remember how I said that midbrain doesn't listen to words very well, so you could probably say blah, 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 and it wouldn't matter because they're feeling the emotion that you are connected with them, you are attuned to them, and you understand what is going on. And that simple tool is the thing that you can do first that will help that amygdala turn down its dial and calm down the nervous system. So what happened with my son is this. I said what I just demonstrated for you. Wow, I heard how important that was. And he was still upset. Well, of course, because he didn't get this thing that he wanted. And so I said, oh, you wanted that so bad. Why don't you come up here and I'll give you a hug. Another thing you can do to help the amygdala calm down, physical touch, closeness. He wants to be close. They want to feel us. That it doesn't feel safe. And when they're in our hug, they feel safer. And that's going to help them calm down. So then the last thing I did is, and this is where most of the parenting tools and techniques that we have comes into play, right? So at this point, you have a multitude of options for you. You can offer a choice. You can offer a compromise. You can set a boundary. Any number of things that these parenting books are and they're really, really good tools. And the thing that oftentimes is missing is they're talking to the wrong part of the brain. And if you don't help the child bring themselves into that other part of the brain, all those techniques are going to go out the window. They're only going to enrage them more. So that's what I did with my son, right? I said, oh man, I hear you just really wanted to do that. And Daddy already cracked them. And so now the choice is, would you like to pour them in the bowl, in the pan, or would you like Daddy to do it? Oh, but I just wanted to crack them. Okay, no problem. Daddy's going to do it. And as soon as he saw me start to, oh, no, I want to do it. I was like, okay, no problem. And just like that, he was back. He had enough of the empathetic response from me, and he knew that I was attuned to what he was feeling and what was going on. And with that, he was able to come back to his adult brain and make a choice. You can't make a choice when you're in your limbic system, when you're in your emotional brain. It's all reaction. There's no choices available. And so that's how I knew he was back. Also, the fact that he was a totally different kid. He wasn't emotional or anything. And now we were making eggs and he was stirring and everything was fine. There's a couple of other stories I want to tell you as well. So for the older kids, you've probably experienced this. Hey mom, can I go out with my friends? Oh no, you haven't done your homework yet. But mom, I wanted to go out with my friends and whatever, right? Immediate meltdown, all kinds of emotion, big emotion. A couple things might be happening, right? I actually had a friend of mine tell me a story very similar to this. So her son had asked her to take him to school. And she said, well, I don't have time this morning. And it was really important to him. And what she knew her son pretty well, was that there was something else going on. And it wasn't really about being taken to school. It was about that other thing, that big emotional thing. Maybe it was something that happened. I actually don't know the end of the story, but it's a good example of how this works with the older kids too. So you can say something like, whoa, man, I didn't realize how important it was for you to go to the mall. Let's take a deep breath and then we'll talk about it. Or let's go work on your homework so that you can get all your things done you need to get done, and then we'll talk about it. Right? And whatever you need to do to help them calm down, right? Maybe they need more listening if their emotional brain is still in charge. There's another story I'll tell about one of my clients, and it's similar to my son's story. This is a 6-year-old, and she really wanted to wear a very particular sweater, and she couldn't find it. And this was the sweater that she wanted to wear today to school. And so the mom has worked in with me, and so knows these tools. She said, oh, you wanted that sweater today, and that was the one because you love it, and it really it matches your boots, and it matches your coat, and everything was perfect about that sweater, and now you're so sad because you can't find it, and you really want me to find it. And to the mom, and now it's time to go to school. So they walked out to the car, got her in, and the mom said, I'm gonna take 5 minutes and go look for the sweater. And she couldn't find it. She asked, can I find it? She said, no, but I know how important it is to you, and I'm gonna go look for it, and if I find it, I'll bring it to you, right? And just that, right? That was enough. That was what she wanted. She really wanted the connection. It wasn't as much about the sweater. The sweater was important, but it was about the sense of being heard and the sense that, oh, you understand me and how important that is to me. And that's what helped her calm down at the end of the day. So this is it. This is my number one skill. This is the thing I teach every single parent that walks into my office. Now, next time, we're going to talk about a slightly different scenario, but one that you're probably also very, very familiar with. So let's say we're not in this situation, we're not necessarily in that place where the amygdala is imagining a threat, but let's say it's time to get ready for school, and you say, okay, time to get dressed and brush your teeth, and you just get a flat ignoring of you altogether. They're just playing and just doing their own thing, right? This, a lot of times, can turn into a power struggle, and that's what we're going to talk about next time. The idea that you want them to do something, and they want to do something completely different, and what do you do about it? You can't force them. So what do you do to work with your child in that situation? Next time we're going to talk about something that you can do in the moment, actually a couple of things. Things you can do in the moment, and something that you can do on a regular basis to help eliminate power struggles altogether in your family. I hope you've enjoyed this training. This is my passion. This is what I was put on this earth for, to help parents really understand their kids and to offer them practical tools to help their families just have more peace and run more smoothly. One thing that I will ask from you, it's actually a couple of things. The first is, please try this out. I know you're bombarded every single day with a ton of parenting advice and tools and all this kind of stuff. It's all an experiment, right? Try it out and tell me how it works. So leave me a comment. There's a place right underneath the video where you can leave a comment. Tell me what you thought. What was this video like for you? Did you have a reaction? Good, bad, or indifferent? And then try it out and come back and tell me what it was like. If you have a specific question for you, click on the link and send me an email. I promise I will read every single email and I will respond personally to all of your emails. The last thing that I will ask is, if you found something valuable in this email, in this video today, please pass it on to someone else you think might be able to find similar value out of that. The next video is going to come out in a couple of days, and I will send you an email when the next video is ready. In the meantime, thank you so much for taking your precious time to spend with me today, and until next time, I'm Michael Lefevre. Take care.